is this morning. Don't forget, Valentine's is coming. We get that on Saturday. Ooh, I wish I was working on Saturday. Just for this Saturday, anyways. Not because just for the Saturday. Anyway. So let's talk about betrayal. In fact, that's the reason why that song was played. Give me a higher love. Now, first things first, what is betrayal? I'm sure some of you know where we're going with this. Betrayal, the act of betraying one's country, a group, or a person. Treachery. It was a big deal back in those days. Treacherous snake. That's how you describe somebody who, betrays the trust of his king, betrays the trust of his boss. Treacherous snake. Yeah. But, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, there are two interesting aspects of betrayal that I like for us to sit and munch over. You see, on one hand, there is the pain of knowing that the trust that you have placed in someone has been abused. Because basically that's what betrayal is. It's done in a way to make you look bad. But then there is the notion about who should be betrayed. You have all seen movies and television shows where, they catch someone doing bad and they tell the person, look, man, we've caught you. And if you don't, tell us who your boss is, aka who your Oga is, you will go to prison, 50 years in jail. Meanwhile, the person who sent you is going to be, chilling. In that moment, what they're actually asking you to do is to betray your boss. Yes, the boss is a bad man. He's a kidnapper. He's a drug baron, whatever. He's a corrupt cop. He's a corrupt government official. Yeah. But you're asked to betray that person's trust. But what if betrayal is a lesson that everybody must learn or should learn? What if? Now, there are some who argue that betrayal comes in grades and levels. There is a phrase that says, stronger in broken places. Let me say that again. Stronger in broken places. See, bad things would always happen to good people. That's it. And for some good people, when these bad things occur, it often strengthens them. It makes them stronger. The Bible says a threefold cord or bond is not easily broken. For it to be a bond, that means there's a point where one tie or one thread will come over the other. It will break it. There's a tying together. You bend it. The consistency and integrity is compromised. But it's compromised in such a way that it makes up for a much stronger unit. A very good example is the broomstick. I remember when we were young, that parable, that example that of a broomstick. So they hold two broomsticks, they're easily broken. Add another 5, it becomes more difficult. But if you hold the broom, not the broomstick, if you hold the broom in its entirety, try and break it. It's very difficult. My father used to always use that to tell us, you and your brothers need to work together. Don't let anything come in between you. Don't betray. But a psychologist is saying that all parents need to betray their children in order for them to learn that their parents too are weak human beings and would eventually push them to, making themselves stronger individuals. one of the earliest forms of betrayal that a child, particularly a Nigerian child, experiences is the sit down here, I'm coming back betrayal. The child loses his mind or her mind. I remember my brother wanting to follow my father everywhere. And so sometimes, in order for my father to be able to leave his own household, for him to go to work, we, the older ones, will have to carry our younger brother, take him to the room, distract him with playing with toys or whatnot. The minute he would hear the car start, he bolts out. Pew! He's running to the gate. By the time he gets to the gate, pew! My dad has driven up. This guy will cry. Like sometimes 20 minutes, he's crying. Because he's been betrayed. How can you leave me? My dad, how can you leave me with these people that used to be? Why would you leave me? But sometimes betrayal is difficult to forgive. You made a promise to a woman, you made a promise to a man, I will be with you. I will come and see you. The man sends you money. You betray that person's trust. You take the money, you don't come back. Or like in Wike's case, Wike says, some people betrayed him and their own. You're called to him, in a few months. If you didn't catch it, here is an excerpt of an interview. Talking about Wike speaking on betrayal, right? And then I'll ask you a question. Listen very carefully, right, to the point I'm trying to pick out here.
Whether you're a senator, whether a House of Rep member, whether you're a minister, or whether you're a governor, and you support betrayers, people will continue to betray you in life. Every governor who is doing second tenure, who has ambition to put a successor and is supporting betrayal, you will never survive it. Betrayal will follow you. From the day your successor comes in, my own took so many months, your own will start immediately.
Do you hear that? He says his own took so many months. That means he was betrayed, right? Now, if he was betrayed and he's, in a sense, prophesying, that other people will betray them because he was betrayed, does that mean that Wike also betrayed somebody? Because once again, the psychology says that we all must betray our children, our loved ones, so that they can become stronger and face life's challenges. Once again, I am not the one saying it. It's in fact, let me bring her name so that nobody calls it. Psychologist Gwendolyn Yansma. Yes. Says this is what happens. That we have to accept that in this life there are paradoxes. Light and darkness must come together. So does betrayal and honesty and loyalty. If you don't get betrayed, how then would you appreciate loyalty? Now, for you parents, mommy and daddies, come together. Is it true? Do we all betray our loved ones?
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
017-923-0002, 08179230003, 08179230002, 08179230003. At Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and X, at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH. Then the WhatsApp number is 0809-030-6416, 0809-030-6416. The problem with betrayal. Do we all betray our loved ones? Have you? Do you believe what the psychologists say, the doctors say, that we as parents, we must betray our children's trust once in a while so that they can become stronger individuals? Let's have a conversation. All right, message here. Starting off with the messages. This is SMS 0809-030-6416. This one says, Jude, good morning. I don't quite agree with the notion that we must betray so that we can experience and understand loyalty. For me, if you make a promise, you don't need to betray me to make me understand that promises kept are promises valued. It's simply simple. If you like me, if you trust me, then keep a promise. End of story. I don't need anybody to break any promise. I don't need anybody to betray me for me to value loyalty. Loyalty in itself is valuable. Loyalty in itself is valuable. But sir, the only reason why you know that loyalty is valuable is because you, or maybe someone near you, has experienced betrayal. That's the only reason. Look, don't get me wrong. I personally believe that it's a virtuous thing to do, to keep your word. You know, there's some people when they tell you, oh, I'm going to be here at 2 p.m., before 2 p.m. they're there. They're sat down. Sometimes they'll be there, right? And just when it's about to hit 2, they just knock at your door. So that it looks like as if, they like to be that prompt. They like to be that precise. Someone tells you, I will repay this debt in 24 days. He didn't say honor before. He says, I will pay this debt in 24 days. There's some people you can mark your life cycle, right, on their words. And so on the 24th day, right, at 12 noon, boom, you get the alert. Your money has come. It's very possible that this man or this woman has had this money maybe 2 or 3 days prior. But because he's that kind of person, or she's that kind of person that says, when the day turns to the 24th day in February, I will pay you. You can bet your life that money is there. Some people are that good. They don't betray. They value their words. But how do you know that this is valuable if you haven't betrayed somebody or if you haven't had the experience of betrayal? Good morning, Mr. Jude. See, when you talked about betrayal and loyalty, it happens in real life relationships, in politics, in family. But if one upsets your trust, love, and loyalty, you better adjust to avoid mental stress, because mental health is key and very important. All right, I agree. Your mental health is very important. But I have to circle back. Once again, CJ in Port Harcourt, thank you very much. CJ, I have to circle back to that comment, right? Real betrayal and loyalty happens in relationships, in politics, in family, right? Let's circle back to it. Now, what if, in like the example I just gave, right? A thief is caught and the police is saying, look, I've caught you, you go to prison. But instead of you to go to prison for 20 years, right? You go to prison for 5 years if you tell us who your oga is. Do you get that? The police is basically asking this guy, you should tell us who are your gang members so that your sentence can be reduced. Let's not mince words. The police is telling this criminal, betray your friends. That's what it is. End of story. In that context, will that betrayal not make this person a much better man or woman? Because he knows that, okay, if I betray them, obviously they're not going to be happy to me. So if I want to make new friends, I need to make friends whom I want, maybe may not get caught, or maybe I will not be doing this kind of business that will require me to betray another person. fascinating experience talking about betrayal. Like I said, there is none as painful as a child feeling betrayed by his mother or his father. And the psychology says, yes, parents, you should betray your children.